Hello, Rowan.
Hi.
Welcome to the shoot room. Probably start by telling people who you are and what you do.
So I'm Rowan Martin. I'm estate manager of Oxygen Conservation's best estate, Esgair Arth.
And where in the world's that?
It's on the coast of West Wales.
Amazing. What do we need to know about you to understand who Rowan is?
So I'll transport you to West Wales, where I grew up. I was born in the house that my parents still live in now, actually. Really beautiful part of the world. I spent a lot of time outdoors growing up. I spent a lot of time with my nan, and she'd take me to the National Trust property called Llanacairon, which is pretty close to the estate that I work at now. And we'd always walk around there and we'd watch the wildlife, we'd spend ages bird watching, and then we'd get home and then we'd oil paint what we'd seen, which I think is a wild activity to do with a child, like oil painting. No, brave woman. I spent a lot of time watching David Attenborough. What a guy. All his documentaries really fascinated me, and I learnt so much watching those. And I think that upbringing and spending so much time outdoors is what really piqued my interest in the natural world and biology and how things work and how things interact with each other. And so I went to Aberystwyth University.
Did you ever think about stepping away from Wales, or it was always, I just want to be close?
During high school, I thought that it was really boring. And why on earth would my parents want to bring me up here? There is nothing here. And at that point in my life, I really wanted to go to the big city. And now I look back on that and I think that is crazy, because that's not me at all. I enjoy going to the city for a day and then I've done my quota. That's me done.
And is the city London? Or
yeah, city, yeah. London. I love travelling and I like getting out of Wales, but Wales is always my home and it's where I feel settled, and my family's there. I'm growing my own family there. My husband's family's there. It's quite a close-knit community and we've got so much support around us that, yeah, no, it's a really nice spot to live. So then I went to university. I studied biology, and I probably chose that subject because I'm so fascinated by everything and anything that I just couldn't focus on a particular subject, I guess. I had some great lecturers at university, some that I still remember now. And one of which actually volunteers on the estate with us over the summer.
Really?
Yeah, really cool. He turned up one day and I was like, hold on, I know you. He used to teach me about birds. And yeah, he's great. Really fun. University, it was all right. I thought that the practical based stuff and the research stuff is where where my passions really were. We did this really fun field course to Borneo where we studied the composition of the rainforest. So we'd do dichotomous keys and DNA metabarcoding to look at species composition change over time in quadrats. And that's cool because, although this isn't as exciting, this week I was using dichotomous keys on the estate to see what grass species we have in the meadows. So it's really nice to be able to actually use stuff that I learned in university in my job, because, going through university, people are like, oh, you won't get a job in conservation. It's really difficult and there isn't anything out there, especially where we live. So that was uni. After that, I decided to take a classic year out. I did some internships, so I did some DNA analysis to look at the prevalence of liver fluke on Welsh farmland. I did some birdsong analysis, so looking at the frequency and pitch of birdsong and how that changes in urban and rural environments. And then I spent 3 months in South Africa looking at dwarf mongoose behaviour, which was really, really fun. It was just me and 2 other girls on an estate in the bush, just basically being left to fend for ourselves, but it was so cool. And then after that, I got to a bit of a fork in the road. One of my old lecturers had emailed me and said, Rowan, there's this PhD opportunity coming up. It's fully funded. It's in butterfly vision and behaviour. And at that point, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do a PhD. It's not
Did you
something...
know what one was? Because like when I did mine, I didn't really know what I was signing up for.
No, it's not something I'd ever really considered. And, uni was all right.
What didn't you like about it?
I don't know. I just feel like... It sounds bad, but I feel like it was just a bit of a laugh for like a lot of people. And it was good fun. But, was it challenging enough? I don't know.
Sounds like no.
Yeah, like it wasn't... I didn't feel like it was really pushing you necessarily. And, teaching... So I've taught students as well in practical lessons since finishing my undergrad degree. And they're just so unmotivated. They're there because they can be. Like, there's no real bar to get in anymore. You can just get in and just have a laugh.
It's really interesting. So you've got a little boy.
Yeah.
When he comes to the point of deciding, would your advice be to go to uni or not? What would you say to him now?
Mm, I don't know. It's a difficult one. It depends where his passions lie, I guess. He's very outdoorsy and motivated by like sports and other things like that. And I don't think you necessarily have to go to university to explore those avenues. And I don't know if degrees hold so much value anymore. I think a lot of it is experience. And, you might be starting at a lower rung on the ladder, but you could probably work your way up to the same point as if you'd gone to university. So I'm not sure. It depends. If he wants to go, awesome. If he doesn't, I'll support him in other things that, motivates him.
It's interesting. I think so. We respectively both spent lots of years there, degrees into PhDs, and I felt very similar. It almost felt like what you learned over the first 3 years, we'd do in 6 months, like maybe even three.
It's wild.
And it's a lot. I mean, I needed it because I was just so immature and needed to grow up over 3 years. So maybe for young boys, or certainly me, that helped. But I don't know that, like, if you gave me the idea to go back, oh, do you want to do uni again now? Hell no. I absolutely wouldn't want to. But I think you're right about that bar and the pace, and almost there isn't the purpose or the drive to it that other chapters of life have had.
Yeah.
And
And
did you
people are
find
still quite young at that point, aren't they? They don't really know didn't know what I wanted to do.
do you know what you want to do now?
No.
Nor do I. Nor do I. And I think trying to find out's the fun bit.
Yeah.
There's a Jimmy Carr quote that says, "The meaning of life is enjoying the passage of time."
Yeah.
And I think that's probably really true.
Yeah. I'm so impressionable. Like, if I learn a new thing, I want to know like way more about that new thing. Could be anything.
Because everything's better when you do, though. Like, so you mentioned oil painting earlier. An oil painting's better than a poster because of the texture, because of the depth. When you start to understand something, like even if it's a new sport, once you understand the nuance of it, it just gets richer and better, and you find more layers to it.
Yeah.
Like the surface impression of it's one thing, but once you get 60, 70, 80% of the way through, then you can really understand something.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful segue into doing a PhD. So
Yeah.
was that process better, more challenging, more inspiring?
I think, well, I wasn't actually going to do my PhD. I got to that point. I'd known my lecturer had reached out and said this opportunity is available, and I was like, oh God, do I really want to go back to uni? I'm not sure. What I'll do is I'll apply for some jobs, and if I get a job, I'll do that. And if I don't get it, I'll go and do my PhD. And blessing in disguise now, looking back at it, but I applied for a job in NRW and got rejected. And I was
Congratulations.
like, yeah, what a pivotal point in my life. Because if I had have got that job, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here now, and I wouldn't be working for OC, and I wouldn't have a PhD, probably. So yeah, rejection letter in my lap. I go and I fight for my place on the PhD. I get it. I did not know anything about butterflies or vision or behaviour beforehand. Not something, that I'd ever thought, oh, I definitely want to do that. I want to research butterfly vision and behaviour. It's very novel, and I think PhD was much better suited to me. It gave me an opportunity to like research the literature, and actually butterfly vision is quite a novel field of research. There's not much on it currently, or at least when I started my PhD there wasn't. So there was so many avenues I could explore. I could do anything, and that was really exciting to me. But it also came with its own challenges in that I was in an office with lots of people that were studying genetics, and they were all working on similar sort of projects. So they had that support group behind them. And when I was doing my PhD, it was literally just me and my lecturer. That was it. And not even anyone in the country, I don't think, studied butterfly vision at that time. So yes, I liked my PhD much more than my undergrad degree.
Sounds like it was a lonely period, though.
It was lonely in that I couldn't look for advice and support on my particular experiments, but it wasn't lonely because I had a great office of people that I'm still friends with now. So I couldn't get the same sort of collaboration, I guess, as the other PhD students had. And halfway through my PhD as well, so coming to the end of second year, it was COVID, and worst timing ever. I'm just about to sort of wrap up all my experiments. There's lots of things that I still haven't answered yet that I want to answer through. I was doing behavioural experiments with butterflies, so physical work. And then the lab shut down, the uni shut down. I couldn't get butterflies. It was pretty rubbish. But then we turned our attention to sort of theoretical based modelling and statistical analysis, which isn't something that I'm super engaged with, but just did it anyway. And some of the models didn't work at all, and there was a lot of frustrations, but I did that over the period where the uni was shut. Authored my first paper in animal behaviour. That was a really cool point in my life. I'm really proud of that one. And halfway through my write-up, I found out I was pregnant. So anyone deciding to do a PhD and having a baby at the same time, don't do it. It's a terrible idea. What an awful time. Really tough. But going back to having that family support around me, living in such a close-knit community, I was really lucky that I had my family there to support me during that time, because I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
So what's your advice to someone who does find themselves at two pivotal moments in their life at the same time? What are the key bits to getting through that successfully?
Having a clear vision, I guess. I mean, I didn't. But, well, I kind of did actually, because I wanted the job, and that's what I wanted to do. And I thought if I had a job, I could decide then at a later date if I want to go back and do a PhD. And knowing that, you might make a decision, but the outcome might not be what you want it to be. But actually, it worked out really well. I'm so stoked that I got that rejection letter now. Really cool.
Love it. So, find out you're pregnant, midway through the write-up. In terms of that sequencing, were you like, right, I need to get this finished before baby arrives, or that's not going to happen, I need to pause that and then post
I
little person?
I took a little bit of a pause, because at that time as well, it was mid-COVID. I hadn't been able to do any of my experiments. I was lacking a bit of luster for my PhD, I've got to be honest. There was a little bit of a breakdown between communication with lecturers or whatever.
They're marathons, right? I don't think people think about them like degrees, where it's like you do a module and some assessments and you move on to the next one. It's just like you're carrying that weight till you're done.
Yeah.
I remember writing up on Christmas Day and my in-laws being like, what are you doing? It's Christmas Day. I'm like, no, it isn't. This doesn't go away until I'm done. It's just here forever.
It feels like it's never going to end.
Yeah. And you're just reading your own stuff over and over again, and that's awful.
It's tough, isn't it? It's really tough.
When people ask me about PhDs, I'm like, do you obsessively love the thing you're going to do? If the answer is no, don't do it. Yeah. Do not do it. Because it's not like you get a range of stuff. You are literally researching the head of a pin for 3 years. And you get to a point whereby there is no one else you can ask about it because you're the only person who's deeply in that hole. I didn't love it either.
It's wild.
Sorry, Stuart and Tom. I apologise. You were great. Appreciate you. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely really tough. And
hardest thing you've ever done?
Yeah. New mum. That's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm not a natural kid person, but I can value
What
them.
does not being a natural kid person mean?
I don't know, just never really grew up thinking, oh, I want loads of kids, you know? Still don't. But really love my boy. He's great. Really fun.
And how old's he now?
He's 4.5.
And is this the funnest age so far?
Oh my God, he's so cool. I love him. He's so much fun. He's into all the stuff I'm into. He's really curious, which I think you lose a bit when you're an adult. And I don't want that to be lost. I've still got that curiosity. He's just such a laugh.
So Emma's 9 and George turned 7 this week, and every age is more fun. Like I found like the really baby years, you just can't do anything. Like my job was just keeping Helen alive and fed and happy and stuff like that because they only want mum at that age anyway. And then now actually I've started to have like really awesome conversations with George where he'll ask like why questions on the bizarrest stuff and just give me a load of shit, which is great from a 7-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fun, aren't they?
Take us through to so when did PhD conclude?
So I graduated last year, which
Really?
but
Did you think about not finishing it when you stepped away?
Loads of times.
Because so many people do, right? So many people have unpublished, unwritten, unfinished.
Yeah. No, there was a definite point where I was like, pfft. It might have been when I found out I was pregnant, actually, where I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'm out. But it was funded, which meant that unless I wanted to pay back all the money that I had been granted, then I'd need to complete it. So I was like, okay, cool, back in then. Get it done, grind it out. Yeah, and graduated last year. That's nuts. Feels like a lifetime ago. So yeah, after I graduated, my wonderful husband had been supporting me and our boy for the past quite a while financially. I thought it's probably time I should get a job.
Was that something that emotionally you felt uncomfortable with and like you felt a pressure from?
No, it wasn't, because I was doing my PhD. I hadn't got a job anyway, and childcare prices are like we wouldn't have been able to afford it. There was no option for that.
That's why Helen stopped working when we had Emma and never went back because she was a maths teacher. And it would have ended up costing her more to work.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, so we didn't have that option.
For a government who wants to talk about productivity and stuff, why not sort nationally affordable childcare for people, and then more people could actually get back into work other than it just... Because unless you've got significant family support, it's just not possible for people.
Yeah, and we did have that. Like, my parents are nearby. My husband's parents are nearby. We had all the support network that we could have, and it was still very challenging.
Yeah, it's still hard, right?
Yeah, especially trying to get that time for yourself and not just feeling like a mum the whole time. It was tough. But we got through it. And then, so I was looking to apply for a job. And in West Wales, there aren't many jobs. There's probably 5 opportunities in like a 60-mile radius, none of which you want to do. I applied for loads of jobs. I didn't get an interview for a single one. And then I saw this...
How? You have an astonishing... Like, we were talking about this last night, right? That I thought your CV was a wind-up. It's such a good CV. It's like, this is like a virus trying to get into our systems or something. And it's like, how were you not getting into... Maybe overqualified?
I don't know. I applied for a project manager job for butterfly conservation. I'd literally just finished a PhD in butterfly vision behaviour and conservation.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get an interview.
They totally looked at that and went overqualified. Or they did the
No
whole thing.
way!
Well, they'll have gone, oh, the person's going to be too good too quick and leave. That's the problem about sort of third sector organisations. Like, oh, they look a bit good. They might be gone in 2 years. Whereas we're like, great, they should be gone in 6 months because you want people progressing. If you're in like old staid businesses, they don't want people moving quick.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no other reason why you wouldn't have got interviewed for that.
For whatever reason,
Yeah.
I didn't get an interview. And at that point, because I love where I live so much, I was pretty content with, I'll just get anything because I like where I live and I like bringing up my son here. But then I was looking on, I can't remember where it was actually, environment job or something like that. And I saw this role in Arth, and I was like, Arth? There's nothing in Arth. Are you sure it's in Arth? And the more I looked into it, I was like, oh, this is actually a real job. And it's like half an hour from my house. Amazing. So I looked into OC a bit more. I was super energized by like the culture, and I was really excited that the job advert wasn't just boring and, you know, lackluster. It inspired me a little bit and excited me. So I reached out to Lyle and I think you on LinkedIn, maybe Andrew as well. I wanted to just get as much info as I could before applying, just to make sure that I really wanted to go for it. Went down to the estate. It was a moody day, and I think West Wales lends itself quite well to that. Very atmospheric. I was driving down the long track and I was looking around and I was like, oh, this is really cool. There was loads of birds in the meadows. And I was like, this could be a really fun place to work. And yeah, so I had a chat with some of the team beforehand, just got more and more excited about the opportunity. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to really, really go for it because I really want it. And yeah, I think the CV thing, like OC was the first opportunity I had to sell myself more as a person, not just for my academic and professional qualifications, but, you know, as me and what excites me and what I'm passionate about and what drives me. And that was maybe why I shone a little bit more in that CV over the other ones, is because I had that opportunity to be Rowan and not just a PhD student.
I guess I don't mean CV, do I? I mean exactly what you described there. I mean the fact that, yes, we saw you on paper, but also we saw your social media stuff and you reached out and shared some about yourself. So maybe I do mean that. Maybe it's what you're offering as a person as opposed to just a CV.
Yeah.
I think that is the key bit.
Definitely. And of course, if you're hiring for experience, you're going to get someone that can do that job really well. But how is that person going to fit into the team? How are you going to keep them motivated? You know, what are their passions? How are you going to keep them driven? You don't really know that until you know a bit more about them as a whole.
I think, so Andrew, our wonderful head of people, and I have kind of come to the realization that we really don't care about experience. Like, we think it's the most overplayed thing possible, whereas I'd never bought an estate before. So Andrew had never been a head of people. You know, we've got people in various roles in our business that just hadn't done these things before. Lots of the roles we have didn't exist in the sector before. You know, like the business didn't. So we'd be absolute hypocrites if we weren't like, no, we recruit for talent and potential and character and drive, and then try and allow people to grow into roles in the business. It was interesting what you said about being slightly inspired by the sort of company and the job role. Why do you think the sector's so bad at that? Because it's not like, you can look at sports brands and adventure stuff where people are really inspiring people. It just feels like the environment sector, other than Attenborough and Silverback's footage, just feels like they're not trying.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, because I know that people that work in the sector are passionate about the environment.
Yeah, as individuals, they totally are. I agree.
But I don't know. It just doesn't shine through, and I don't think they're given the freedom necessarily to push those things that excite them and inspire them, because, you know, a lot of CVs or job applications are just tick box exercises. And unless you're smashing out these words that they want you to include, you're not even going to get an interview. And I just think that's such a wild way of doing it.
One thing we haven't talked about through your journey to OC is you didn't mention a bike once. This whole other like avenue of your life and world. Talk to us where the bike first appeared and how important it is to who you are.
Yeah, so I started riding bikes in uni, joined...
Not like as a toddler, right? Like
Oh, no, like... Well, actually, it's probably quite a while ago now, but like 5-6 years ago, something like that. I joined the Mountain Bike Society.
because?
Because we live in such an awesome place for riding bikes. We've got so much opportunity for riding bikes where I live. Like I could ride from my house into the mountains, into the woods, to the beach, do a cross-country ride, like gravel ride, road riding, you name it, we got it. Love it. So I think it was that. And yeah, so I joined the Mountain Bike Society. Quite a small society when I was in uni, but it's much bigger now. They're like sponsored by Monster and stuff. So cool.
We want to be sponsored by Monster.
Do we?
Yeah, of course we do.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Can I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, it is the official beverage of OC.
I love that.
Yeah.
We can make that happen. It's coming.
Let's make sure we get that in Rowan's objectives for 2026.
Monster, I'm coming for you.
That's got to go. Yeah, of course. Of course you are. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, so just started riding bikes with them, really. Bought a really crap hardtail off eBay, 200 quid, which at the time I was like, 200 quid? It's a lot to spend on a bike. Which now I know is like, you could buy grips for that. So I started riding mountain bikes with them, and then got more into mountain bikes after I met my husband, who's into mountain bikes, of course, who isn't around us. And yeah, I just loved it. It was so good. Just being outside, exploring where I live, like just riding. I can ride for hours. Like you're getting that physical fitness, but you're also challenging yourself. It's super cool. Love it. So much fun. And yeah, I guess I just started sharing that online.
Free bikes?
Yeah.
Did you have much of a social media like presence?
No, didn't really use Instagram, didn't really use anything, to be honest. Yeah, so I just started sharing my rides as I went out. I was going out riding anyway.
Do you remember why?
Don't think... I just like started seeing content on Instagram, I guess, and I was like, oh, I do that. I enjoy that. I like sharing stuff. Like getting people involved and inspired. Let's do it. Just started posting, and I do live in a beautiful part of the world. I know I keep saying it, but it's true. So yeah, just started sharing, and just that's how it started.
Okay, and talk about the role social media plays in what you do now. On both personal and work-wise, but...
Personally, it was a form of income for me when I wasn't working or I was doing my PhD.
And how quickly did that come from you going, right, I'm going to start sharing that, to going, this actually could be a source of income?
Quite a while, to be honest. And, you know, I was working with brands and companies a long time before they started paying me. You know, get free kit, which was awesome because kit's expensive. And, you know, I'm going out and riding anyway. Why not be able to...
How cool is this? I get free stuff, yeah.
How cool is being able to work with these awesome brands and work in a collaborative way where they're getting advertising, but you're getting kit. Super cool. Love that. And then a few years ago, I was like, I'm just going to ask for some money. Just gonna float the idea out there. And they were like, yeah, of course. Like straight away. No questions asked. Just, yeah, we're in.
Did you build up to asking that? Had you been thinking about it a while, or just one day you're like, do you know what, I'm just going to ask?
I guess I was just kind of waiting for someone to offer it. But if you're providing something for nothing, and there's so many people that are, why would they?
I was thinking about this exact thing yesterday. So I don't ask for anything. Like, I hate asking for stuff. I'm really bad at it. Every day I get like 5 or 10 people asking for a job or asking for something completely random on LinkedIn. We were talking about this about some of the crazy. Can you teach me this? No. Like, can you persuade me I should do this for my life? I don't really think I'm qualified to do that. But it made me realize I don't ask for anything. Like, what am I not getting that I could just ask for random stuff for? Yeah, well, I do ask Asher. I don't want free shoes. I think we should have a really cool crossover with them. Like, Rowan wants more. Is this like a protest that they're not?
I just wanted to add some
Rebos?
colour.
They are.
I just wanted to add some colour.
Did you do the Vivo Biome thing with them where they did
No, I didn't.
So I've got a neon orange pair of them. They're super cool, but I said to them they should do a neon pink one.
Yeah,
That
I'd be
would have been
game.
amazing.
Totally
Yeah.
in for that.
Yeah. So talk about following now on Instagram.
43,000.
You're famous, right? That's
You keep saying it, but I don't think it's true.
what is lovely though is I kind of sadly assumed with the positivity and the presence you've got, you would receive some negativity. But you're like you don't deal with the crazy or anything bad in that regard.
No, but I don't know. Some people do just get negativity, and I feel so bad for them because it's horrible, isn't it? Logging on and seeing loads of negative comments. Like, I know loads of people that do experience that. I don't know why I don't. I think, actually, if there is ever any negativity, I'll just block them straight away. I don't want them on my platform, you know? So maybe that's why you don't get those repeat offenders, because it does seem to be the same people, just like...
I was too slow to do that. So early on in OC, I was like, no, we're not blocking anyone. You know, we want full feedback on everything, full transparency. And then you get some real crazy people. And it took me ages to actually block people. And ultimately it was when they started attacking other members of the team. And it was like, what? This isn't a coherent point. You're just yelling stuff. Like, nope, go away. So I think you're right. So your principle is if people are negative or unpleasant, just block them straight away.
Yeah. They don't want to, they don't want to know about you or your business. They don't want to learn why you're doing something. They're just angry for unknown reasons.
Yeah. In terms of your process, when you think, do you have a process, or you're just free form with what's going on in my day, what's going on in my life? I'm going to capture some content on that.
Content-wise,
Yeah. Do you plan ahead? I guess you must when you're working with a brand.
If I'm working with a brand and they've got a certain brief that they want me to deliver, I'm gonna work my butt off to make sure that that's good content. If it's just me going out on my ride, I'll just post whatever.
I remember you once saying to me, I'm not going to let it ruin my ride. I'm going to go have a fun ride. And I think that shines through. I think because that people love authenticity, so that shines through better, I think. What's the funniest brief you've had from a brand where you've got something come through and you're like, oh, that is super cool, I want to do that?
I don't know, people are pretty...
They just leave it up to you?
Yeah, they're pretty flexible. Or even if they do have like a super rigid brief, I'll say, are you okay if I
don't do that?
do my own thing, because that's why you want to work with
exactly,
me, right?
Yeah.
Because it's me. I don't want any of my content to be super pushy or salesy, because that's not true to me. And I'm only ever going to work with brands that I actually align with. So yeah, they're usually just pretty relaxed on what I deliver, even with the brands that I work with on a rolling basis, on a yearly basis. They might have a set number of posts or whatever it is that you have to deliver over the year. And I usually just say, can I just do my own thing? Because I don't want to be posting if I don't want to be posting. I will deliver these, but it's probably not going to be a set timeline, once a week. I might post more in the summer. I go away over the winter. If I'm not into it, I'm not going to post about it.
Love it. Where does the confidence to be really clear about who you are and how you want to deliver come from? And have you always had that?
No, I haven't actually. When I was younger, I tended to be more closed book, I guess. I think it comes with age. I'm really proud of who I am now. Think I'm awesome. And
There's a lot of people here who think you're awesome too.
oh, thanks, Rich.
Yeah.
I think that probably just comes from being you and realizing that you don't have to be anyone else. You can get really far just being yourself and pursuing those things that genuinely interest you and excite you. You know, who are you trying to fool? If you're not being you, you're not going to be happy, are you?
One of my favourite quotes, Oscar Wilde: "Life's hard enough without adding impersonation to the list of skills you need."
Yeah, damn straight. Yeah, right. So much more enjoyable just being yourself.
You talked earlier about how it's sometimes hard to find time to not be mum and to be yourself. You wear lots of different hats or helmets as it comes to the bike: mum, wife, mountain biker, celebrity, ecologist, estate manager. How do you think about all those different hats, and how do you find time to wear them all?
I don't think it's that difficult because all of those aspects are me. I love my job. I love going out riding my bike. I love making content. I love my husband and my family. You know, they're all such vital parts of me as a person. So it is difficult sometimes to find time being a mum, especially during those early days. That was tough. But you can be you again in a little bit. Just a little bit of a struggle at the start.
Love it. Well, I often ask people which are the hats they're best at, but actually that question doesn't feel right for you because I think you're wearing all of them all the time.
Yeah, I am. I put a lot of effort into all of those aspects of my life.
And is it free form with you, or are you big on calendars in terms of timing and sequencing to make everything work?
We do have a big calendar on our wall because my husband goes away a lot for work. I go away sometimes for work, sometimes for fun. And logistically,
Sometimes work can be fun.
yeah, not saying work isn't fun. I always leave team events, actually. My face hurts because I've smiled so much. What a great bunch of people.
So you know the daily staff survey we all fill in. So I have a trace on the average, like how happy people are, like across the whole team, and you can literally see the team events are like a full point on average higher, and it kind of bounces between, drops down a little bit, and then jumps back up at a team event. So it literally is like giving the team like an energy boost, like giving the team a Monster Energy beverage for ahead of the next 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're great.
I think the sequencing it takes to make life look seamless and easy is super hard. So like our amazing director of property Fee, she's got two amazing girls. Her and her husband both have really senior careers. How they orchestrate the sequencing of making things work. And I think people, they'd certainly see you and go, Rowan is just gliding through life and it's really easy. It takes a lot of hard work for it to be easy, right?
It certainly doesn't feel like you're gliding a lot of the time. It is a lot of work, of course it is. But, you know, that's a driver for me, that's a motivator. I find myself, if I don't have loads of stuff to do, I just won't do anything. If I've got loads of stuff to do, I'll get loads done. I'll get more done than I aim to do. So, yeah, I don't know. It just depends what type of person you are.
The glide analogy with you comes from when we were at Dorback. So we had a whole team event in March up at our Dorback estate, and it's you, Archie, and James's fault that I realised I was old. So we were out on the mountain bikes, and prior to your arrival, I'd pretty much keep up with James all the time. So James would usually be out front, I'd be out with him. Whether we were co-steering or whatever the activity was, James would be like the most athletic, and I'd keep up as much as I could. And then all of a sudden, you turn up on a bike, and it's like gravity doesn't affect you. Like everyone else is like fighting, and you're just gliding. And you managed to pedal so hard you threw a chain completely off the bike, and the instructors were like, "We've never had that happen before." You just arrived with no chain on the bike, which was mad. But we were going down this like empty river valley. You were miles out in front, James and Archie chasing after you, and I had this moment of, "Oh God, this is dangerous. I'm too old for this now." And I literally was like, "Oh God, I'm old." Overnight on that moment where we were up at Dorback.
It's really fun. It
Yeah.
was so good. They were pinned. My God, it was scary to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty scary indeed.
Fun though.
Take us to Wales. For people who don't know Esgair and the area around there, bring it to life. You talk passionately about how nice it is. What is it like?
So Esgair is a 300-acre estate set on the West Wales coastline, overlooking Cardigan Bay, a special area of conservation. It's very rugged. It's not as bougie as Mornicott. And this wonderful shoot room. We've got so much going on the estate, and there's so much potential as well. That's what really excites me about Esgair is the future and the possibilities there. We've got a wonderful triple SI woodland, so a site of special scientific interest, and that extends the entire southern boundary of the estate. Within that, we've got our Afon Arth, the River Arth, where I began my role with OC as the Invasive Non-Native Species Project Manager for our Upstream Thinking project, which is Heritage Lottery funded. Above the Triple SI, we've got some field pastures that we're leaving for natural regen. Those were previously very heavily grazed, and we've taken off the grazing for now, just to let the land breathe a little bit. But I do plan on bringing some conservation grazing back onto the estate to really encourage that natural regen.
You were trying to acquire cows last night, weren't you?
That wasn't actually me, but I was a fan. That was for other purposes. Milking. Yeah, so we've got that natural regen zone, which I really want to encourage to thrive through bringing some grazing back. And above that, we've got a planted woodland with 90,000 broadleaf native species of tree. And that's 14 different species, I think, from oak to rowan to willow. Really cool. So we've got a lot going on the estate, and we've got so much, future potential as well.
We'll have 50 ideas, then 40 of them will take a bit further, 20, 10, and then 2 or 3 will explore. And some people will get uncomfortable or nervous about the idea of something that might never come to fruition. So it's always interesting if you're working within the central team and you know that's the process, that we'll have loads of ideas and we'll pare it down and nothing's happening until it's happening. That's fine. But for somebody else, they might hear an idea and become worried or challenged about stuff. How do you think about the stuff you do share locally, and how do you balance that?
I love sharing info. I think that a lot of maybe reservations or hostility, I guess, in some cases, comes from just not knowing. So when I first started my role with OC, I made a real effort to go out to the local community and sort of introduce myself, introduce the project, and get to know people.
When you say community in that context, bring that to life, because people say about what do local people think, and it's like who, where, what. It's like, how do you physically go out and introduce yourself to a community?
Well, this was the immediate community surrounding Esgair, so Arth, Pennant.
I always feel really conscious of how I say it when you pronounce it properly with a Welsh accent. I'm like, damn it.
Go on, say
Esgair.
Yeah, could do with some work.
I do apologise for my lack of Welsh, Rowan. Leave that to the experts.
So I...
Literally knocking on doors?
Literally knocking on doors. I literally went round and knocked on people's doors, introduced myself. I went to a local coffee morning, which when I rocked up was, the locals that obviously have been doing that for ages, and they're very, very settled, chatting, and then these 2 young people walk in and I'm like, hi, I'm from Oxygen Conservation. We own Esgair, the estate up the road. They're like, no, you don't. Morrison's own that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Why was that the rumour?
I don't know why that was the rumour. I find it really funny how rumours spread.
Yeah.
Who started that?
Have you heard the Chris Packham story?
I think I have, but do share it again.
So when we went to buy Swineley, just before we this is in Hawes in the Yorkshire Dales, this call came through from the selling lawyers going, we're going to need you to officially, legally confirm I'm not Chris Packham or affiliated with Chris Packham. And I'm like, isn't he 60? Like, yeah, at like 6 foot or something. I'm neither of those things. It's like, yes, no, we're not that. And someone had, and then we met a neighbour a few years later and he went, that's why people thought you were Chris Packham. And I'm like, the guy's like 60 kilos, 6 foot and 60, and I'm none of those things. Yeah, don't know where that started.
No, it's funny, isn't it?
Forgotten the Morrisons rumour.
Yeah. So they were dead set on, no way, Morrisons own that land.
Do you think when you were out meeting people, does the title Oxygen Conservation help or hinder in terms of what we do?
I think it depends where you are. At that point, I maybe think it hindered it a little bit.
Right,
but
because of the conservation word?
No, because of the just not knowing what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, the information is out there, but a lot of these people may be a little bit older and don't know how to research properly, you know, and in communities, smaller communities especially, things do travel by word of mouth, and sometimes those get a little bit distorted in the process. But there was quite a few people actually that weren't so keen with what we were doing on the land, but that genuinely stemmed from incorrect information. You know, they thought we'd planted pines up in that native planted woodland just to get some Welsh grant money. Well, that's not true at all. We've planted a really diverse, hopefully climate resilient woodland that's native to the area. And once they'd heard that, they were like, oh, it's quite good actually. Yeah, the work we're doing is good, and I'm really open. And if you want conversations with me about what we're doing in Esgair, I'm super stoked to share it.
Could you, pre-PhD, did you write much? Was it something you would have done for fun?
I did like research and writing up
Yeah.
sort of my dissertation and that side of things. Yeah, I did like it.
I was garbage. That was the other thing, because we spoke before about the best things we learned from PhD. So one is that synthesis of information. The other was brutally taught to write, because it just kept coming back with red pen.
Yeah.
Whereas an essay, you can do a good one or a bad one, it's gone. But it just keeps coming back, right? Until it's done, it's not going away.
Yeah, there was points where I was just like, I'm not even going to act on this comment because I can't do this again. And it was fine. I got through my Viva absolutely fine.
They lost my thesis for like 6 months. So I went like 8 months later, went back for my Viva because I'd got a job and was working, had moved on. I was like, it's done. And they were quizzing me. I'm like, this was 8 months ago. I don't remember anymore.
So intense.
I had to sit there and go, he was like, well, we're not going to move on until you answer this question. I'm like, we're going to be here a while then because I do not remember.
Oh my God.
And it was like, it was Urbanzinger 1953's theory of like how water moved in different ways. It was the first people to throw oranges into a river and they photographed them to show how they moved. So, and then that's all done with satellite technology now, and that's what my PhD built. And he was asking me a quote about this paper. I'm like, it's a 70-year-old paper that I read 2 years ago. I don't remember. What are you doing to me? Then he started getting me to talk about like data and GIS, and I just kicked his ass.
Oof.
Sometimes they just want to fight in academia. They just debate me on something.
They really did. That's what a Viva was, wasn't it? It was just a fight.
That's why I wasn't overly pleasant when I was doing that. So I was powerlifting, playing American football, and doing an argumentative PhD. It doesn't lead to being a nice human being, those things.
That sounds angry.
Yeah. Thank you, Helen. Appreciate you. One of my favourite stories from your wonderful estate is when I first arrived and you'd taken the whole swathes of fencing away from the Triple SI. Because when we went to view the place, shout out to Reese, hello, it was like the Triple SI had been completely constrained by all this fencing. And, you know, part of the process was removing that. Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, so prior to us owning the estate, it was a farm. And it was heavily grazed. All the field pastures were heavily grazed. So it was a lot of fencing.
There was more sheep than there was grass when we first went to see it.
Yeah. And the surrounding fields are very much the same now. It's a very prominent visual when you drive onto the estate. You can see where we begin. I love that. I think it's cool. Yeah, so there was a lot of internal fencing. I can't remember the specific figure. Was it like 5K or something of fencing?
Maybe even more. It was a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of fencing taken out, completely removed. We still have it around the planted woodland just to protect that.
But hopefully one day that'll come out as well once trees are mature enough to.
Yeah, once it's more established and they're less vulnerable. They're very vulnerable at the moment.
Well, where do your grazing pressures come from? What is it there?
There's a lot of voles, a lot of mice, a lot of rodents.
Yeah,
And
less so deer there, right?
no, well, actually, recently we spotted 2 roe deer on the estate, which was magical. It was really cool. We went for an early morning drone survey, and Doris was like, "Oh, I wonder if we'll see any deer." I was like, "Nah, we don't get deer here."
Literally, that's what we were told prior to you seeing that. Like, no one had ever reported a deer sighting.
There's one, I captured one on a trail camera in the Triple SI a few months ago. And that was really cool. Because what are the chances it walks past my trail camera in the river? Super awesome. But yeah, we were looking at these 2, because it was a thermal drone, looking at these 2 creatures in the grass. We were like, oh, what are those? Look like foxes. Definitely a fox, or it's a badger. It's definitely a badger. And then we'd zoom in and it was 2 deer. And we were like, what? That's pretty cool. They weren't in the planted woodland, so don't worry.
That was for Charles's benefit, wasn't it? Like, Charles, they're not in the woodland.
Please don't shoot them. Yeah, so the major browsing pressures on our planted woodland are rodents, it appears, from the drone survey. We did the drone survey to look at rabbit pressures. We didn't see any rabbits on the estate.
Does the thermal pick up the voles, like little red dots, in the same way as it pick up the bigger?
No, so it doesn't actually capture the voles, but there are a lot of vole holes in the grass. The grass has been left and it's very long, and it's the perfect environment for them because they're protected under that nice
Last time
mat.
I was there, you can almost see them zooming across.
They run across my feet all the time. There's loads. But with that, we've got a lot of raptors as well and barn owls, and that's super cool to see.
It's about restoring natural processes, so you can't pick and choose which ones you want.
No, especially when, if that ecosystem has been unbalanced for so long, it's going to take a little bit of time to recover, isn't it?
Outside of vole guards, which just environmental impact-wise wasn't ideal, is there anything we can do?
With this round of beat up, so we've got 25,000 trees to beat up this year. This is the 3rd year, I think, or the 2nd year? 3rd year. We're going to try introducing larger stock. So we've got bigger trees to put in, and hopefully they'll be more established and more resilient straight off the bat. But we're also going to be screefing, which is sort of like removing the vegetation for a certain amount around the tree that you're planting, in the hope that voles and mice aren't going to come out of their nice cushy mat of grass to go and chew your tree because they don't want to be exposed.
So the sort of equivalent of a fire break, but for like the vegetation highway to the trees.
Yeah, but this is completely new territory. We haven't tried that on any of the estates yet.
There's so little. This is, I think, what people don't realise about the new way of doing conservation. So I think when we first did, I'm so conscious saying Esgair Arth now. When we did your estate room, I think we planted like 10% of all native woodland planted in Wales that year. And there's been so few projects, all the things and the iterations and things we're trialling. This is why I call this the golden age of natural capital, because all the ways we're going to do things are being invented in real time now. So, and we're going to make some mistakes. And so I think it's really unfair. And we haven't had this much, but other projects have been massively criticised for 20, 30, 40% of tree deaths in first years. But that's why the Beat Up programme and funding's in place, because we are learning how to do this.
Yeah, and you're going to expect some deaths or trees that aren't doing so well. You know, that's not just from after the point you've put them in the ground. They might not have been viable in the first place. You do have to expect some losses, especially if you're working on a Welsh hillside where there's a lot of exposure to some pretty rough weather.
Rains quite a bit, doesn't it?
It's quite wet. My only bugbear with Wales is it's friggin' wet. Why I like to escape over the winter.
In terms of Beat Up, how will those trees be delivered? Have we got planters coming in? Are you working with volunteers? What's the process for this year?
So we work with a company called Delta Forest. They'll be coming in and planting the trees, hopefully start of December time. And we've worked with them before. They're really, really fast, really good at their job.
You work with volunteers as well. How different is a professional tree planter to a volunteer planting trees?
I think that volunteer tree planting is just a nice activity to do, isn't it? You think you're doing your bit, and you are, but there's a different speed, and if you're planting 90,000 trees, you want to get those trees in the ground as quickly as possible. They don't want to be lying around in a shed waiting to be planted. So I think that there's a great opportunity to incorporate volunteer things across loads of aspects of our estates. Maybe you could plant a few trees with volunteers, but we've got so much else going on that we don't have to pick and choose that particular activity to do with volunteers.
I think throughout life I've learned there's levels to everything. You and I can both ride a bike. We're doing it very differently. A volunteer and a professional can both plant a tree. They're different things. Like the speed. So we've learned this from Will. Like the speed of tree planters are in the thousands a day, whereas a volunteer might be 100. And it's doing that day after day after day after day, which is that's what's different. I think you've integrated volunteers. So I've always found the environment sector's obsession with volunteers to be a bit uncomfortable. I've seen it as ways of them trying to get people often to do jobs for free, especially with young people. And it's not so much now, but certainly when I started in the sector, it was like, oh, no, you'll need to work for free for 2 years. Then we might think about giving you a part-time job. Then we might think about employing you. So I've always felt really uncomfortable about the concept of volunteers in the sector. However, I do think that's changed now. And I think the way you've been able to do it on your estate is the best we've got across the portfolio in terms of it being a value add for both people. Can you talk to me about how you think and feel about volunteers in what we do?
I agree with you that there are some aspects of volunteering where people are putting in a lot and they're not getting out that much.
Did you see that story a few weeks ago where there was a young man with severely autistic who'd been volunteering for a supermarket? I think it was M&S. Actually, I don't know that it was M&S. Can we check that? There was a young man who'd been volunteering at a supermarket chain for a number of years on a sort of work experience program. And he'd been there so many years, he went, would it be possible to have any form of paid employment now? And they went, no, and sacked him. So then another supermarket came in and said, no, come and work for us. Thank you very much. And there was an example of they were taking advantage of someone and it wasn't a reciprocative deal.
It's just crap, isn't
It's
it?
awful, isn't it?
My gosh, yeah. Yeah, the volunteers I work with are really passionate ecologists or a university society. We've had those guys come and volunteer for us as well. They're people that are really interested in the environment and they genuinely do want to get some experience in various different things. These societies, they don't just do one thing over the summer. They're going to help out doing loads of various things for various people. So they're getting loads of experience from that. And I also work with the Wildlife Trust. Super knowledgeable people. They're just a bunch of friends really that come out and chat, and they're so knowledgeable, and you've got different people that are so specialist in different things that when you're walking around the woodland, they're pointing out things that I definitely would have just walked past and not given a second thought. And it's really cool to have those people around you. They're genuinely interested and they genuinely want to make a difference. So they're volunteering their time because they like that relationship, I guess, and they like that event as a social gathering, but also doing awesome work at the same time.
I think where I've come to reconcile a bit. So for the first 4 years of OC, it was like, nope, we don't do volunteer type roles because I was worried about the perception that we were taking advantage of people. And then the team kind of challenged back and was like, hold on, well, there's some people who we could be helping that we're not as a result of having this principle. So the way we've kind of settled on, and Andrew's very much led this, is if someone approaches us and says, I would like to volunteer because it gives me X, Y, or Z, either it helps with studies or enjoyment or access to somewhere, then that feels like it's mutually beneficial. Whereas if we say we want someone to come and do something, then that's paid. If we ask for something, that's us putting that out there, which feels authentic and fair and reasonable so far. But I guess there's an exception to every rule and it'll break somewhere along the lines.
Yeah, I mean, I do advertise the opportunities on the estate. For example, this year it was Himalayan balsam removal. I do put those adverts out there, but people get in touch with me if they're interested. And I've really valued the times that the volunteers have come and help on the estate. It's a really great day. You get to know people on a personal level, and yeah, like I mentioned, you see your old lecturers come and you have a chat and a catch up with them. They're just really, really nice days, and I genuinely love them.
Perfect. At a company-wide level, we talk about being a high-performance environment. So you've experienced that in academia. You can't get more qualified than you are. You've experienced that in sport and adventure stuff on the mountain bike. What does a high-performance culture in a work concept mean when we talk about it?
The team hold themselves to incredibly high standards. Everyone across the team does. And I think that's really motivating. I especially want to push myself because I know the rest of the team is doing the same. And it is high performance and it is hard. And I remember saying that on an interview I was giving. And I think I must have mentioned it twice, maybe more. But at the end, me and Andrew were like, do you have any questions? And they said, Rowan, you've mentioned it's quite a hard-working environment. And I was like, it is. It is a hard-working environment. But I think that it's a part of who we are as people. We're all incredibly passionate about our jobs and the work we're doing. And that shines through whether we're on a group call on Teams or as a group in person at a team event. You're always getting that passion from people, and that's what's driving us forward. So it is hard work, but it's because you want to be here doing the hard work because it's friggin' awesome.
It's interesting. You mentioned earlier on that where you're really busy and really pushed is where you thrive. So I guess that's a key feature for you, right? If you weren't in that high performance environment, you wouldn't be performing in the same way.
No, definitely not. If I don't have anything to do, I don't know what to do with my time. I need stuff to do it. Otherwise, I'm not doing anything.
And you put real emphasis on the word everyone when you talked about the culture. How important do you think it is that literally everyone performs at that level?
Really important. Really important. Everyone's pushing themselves, which means you want to push yourself because you know that everyone's putting in the same effort you are. And if you do have some people that aren't really pulling their weight, is that going to demotivate some of the other team because they don't feel like they're putting in the same effort and they're not driving for the same thing? I think, that's what motivates me anyway.
I think it would. So I was teaching this last night, actually. I think if you have someone who everyone knows puts in less effort, you don't just lose the 20% of effort that person isn't putting in. You probably lose 5 at least from everyone else as well, because I think because everyone works incredibly hard. So I just got the stats checked on this yesterday. Across 2025, we've averaged 128% of our hours across the entire business. Okay, thank you. I appreciate all of you for doing that. But as soon as someone drops below, we don't just lose that person's performance. Everyone else would drop off as well because it's like, well, hold on a second. If that's the acceptable standard of performance, I just won't work as hard.
Yeah, and not only that, but that person has a role and things to achieve. If they're not achieving them, the rest of the team has to step in and help them, which we will do, but we don't have
I
time
like the
for.
Navy SEALs analogy. Be careful who you let in your boat because you're going to have to paddle for them.
Yeah,
So
right.
at some point, everyone's going to have that. And that doesn't mean people get sick. People have personal situations and challenges, and because everyone knows everyone will support them, people just dive in and help. But if there was someone who didn't, then it makes everyone take a second thought. Like, well, hold on a second, they're not going to help someone. It's why I think we put so much time and effort into the recruitment process and picking people. So we're literally, I don't know when we'll release this, but we're in this year's intern recruitment round, which is super, super exciting. If an intern's out there listening to what we say about the business and talking about high performance, what advice would you give them to decide if it is the right environment for them to be here?
That's a difficult one. I think it depends what your values are and what motivates you. Because if you're motivated by the work you're doing, you're going to want to push and drive for that progress. It is hard work.
What does that mean?
You work hard and you get a lot done and you achieve a lot. And that should be motivating for you, because I've got so many things that I want to complete yesterday, to be honest. But you're always working towards a goal. And then when you've done that one, there's probably 5 more things opened up.
Yeah. And it just gets faster.
Yeah. And the more things you learn, the more things you realise you don't know, and the more questions are formed from things that you've answered.
Do you ever find it intimidating, the people we work with?
Oh my God, yeah. Of course. I'm like, what? I'm here. This is so cool. But everyone's working so hard and everyone's so amazing at what they do. And the whole team is just so supportive. You know, if I've ever got a question, I don't even think about asking it. I just ask it because I know it's going to be listened to and received, and someone's going to be there to support whatever I need support with.
Everyone has a different perspective on things. What you see depends on where you sit, right? And I get my perspective in this chair is different. But I just see every single person in the team, and you're all astonishing. Like, I'll often get asked that, Rich, why are you so complimentary about your team? I'm like, have you met them? Like, they're just ridiculous people, like how they even exist. And then we did James Ormerod's podcast in London a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about how he'll be in meetings with some of the heads of our directors, and he's like, I'm just so intimidated. It never occurred to me that anyone would be, because I look at James and I look at you and I'm like, you're amazing. So everyone's amazing in their own way. So when you do feel that, how do you process it so it's not a problem or a negative? It's just maybe inspiring instead?
I know that I'm putting in the effort. So I work hard because I want to be here. So I deserve to be here. I think, I don't know if intimidation's the right word, but just having all those high performing individuals in one space. Like, it's a lot.
It is a lot, yeah. I think that's one of the conversations over. So we had a team dinner last night. One of the conversations was for the next round of interns. It's going to be even harder. So every year, making your case within a 3-month period of I want to stay, I want to be part, because that's our intern program. We're giving someone a trial to stay, and each year it gets harder and harder to secure a spot.
Yeah. And I think about this sometimes. I think if I wasn't in West Wales and in that proximity to that estate, I don't think I would have got a job here.
I mean, I don't think I'd get in now.
It's so insane.
It is like 1,600 candidates in a fortnight.
Yeah. How do you shine when you're just a person on a screen initially? You have to put a lot of effort into that application.
I think that shoots back to your opening answer about you be authentically you be completely you. And then that's the test for both the person and the business, because I think we're really good, hopefully, at being very honest about who we are, what we do, so people can make an informed choice. It's why I always ask when you heard me ask some of the new starters last night, are we honest about what we're expecting of you? Because I think we almost oversell it a little bit in terms of, maybe we don't, in terms of how demanding we are, because I don't want someone to come and go, oh God, I had no idea everyone worked really hard. I can't believe people are working all the time. This is crazy. So if for the right people, it is motivating and inspiring and energizing. If it's the wrong fit for you, it's awful. If I had to do a Welsh speaking competition, I wouldn't do so well. But for the right people, it's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
You get to work with some ludicrous experts across ecology, and you mentioned Doris, who's like the world's coolest drone surveyor. And what are some of the coolest little things outside of your area of expertise that you've learned while you've been at OC?
So much. So much. I really value my time with people that know a lot about their subject.
And they kind of just appear, right? Like Doris will appear on the estate, or Ben and Penny will rock up with some cameras and tell you they're going to do a vlog on you. And
it's awesome because I love to learn. I love knowledge. Knowledge is power, right? And some people are just so specialist and they know so much about that one thing. There's no way that everyone could know everything about everything.
Except maybe Charles.
He does know a lot.
He does know a lot, yeah.
But it's so great because going back to what I was saying about, having the volunteers on the estate, you'd be walking past something in a landscape or whatever it is, and you wouldn't give it a second thought, but those people know what that is, and they can explain about maybe why it's there, and it's not necessarily something I would have even thought about before. But having all those people around you just makes me hungry for more information. Like, I just want to know everything about everything, even though I know it's not possible unless you're Charles.
He's going to love that quote. Rains a lot in Wales, and it's cold and windy and muddy, and days are long and it's dark in winter. How do you keep motivated?
It's easy, I've got to be honest. I love being out on the estate when it's like pouring with rain. It's horizontal because it's so windy. It's not even falling straight anymore.
Yeah, and your estate's not flat. You've got some hills there as well. So you're
It is steep.
The rain's almost like coming up at you at some point.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I thrive in those environments. I think that, you're not necessarily connected to a lot of people in those times. There's no signal, even if you wanted to be, but you're so connected with the landscape and, the nature around you. It's so motivating and cool, and you're reminded of why you're there.
You're such a big and bubbly personality. Do you enjoy time by yourself in nature as well, or do you want people around you all the time?
No, I love time by myself. Love getting out on my bike by myself. It's just me locking in, going down the trails, finding flow. But I do love.
Do you have headphones in or nothing when you're biking?
If I'm going on a cross-country ride where I'm pushing myself physically, I will put some music in. If it's just me on the trails, I'll just listen to the...
What's the opening track on the motivation playlist?
Ooh, it depends what mood I'm in.
Okay.
I'm into like all music, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know if I have a go-to track. I usually just put a Spotify podcast on or something. Playlist.
Nice. I have a theory when it comes to risk management that poker players and adventure athletes are the only people that actually understand risk management. Because if you lose at poker, you go broke. And if you get it wrong and you're an adventure athlete, you break something.
Yeah.
How do you think your time on the mountain bike? And so we need to put all your your Instagram links in and stuff to the podcast. But some of the stuff you do on a bike and the amount of time you're in midair jumping over things is just ludicrous. Have you ever had a bad one where you've come off badly and hurt yourself?
I have broken my finger once.
Which one?
Can you tell?
Yep.
Twiglet hands. That is... Oh, gosh.
Your table's there, yep.
That is the worst thing I've done so far. I've actually broken here as well, 2 separate occasions. But...
And was that on a landing or did you come off?
I just came off. Yeah. On a blue, actually, which, if you don't know, is like chill. Chill trail.
Do the colours work the same as skiing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do. Different levels, though. And not universal across trail centres, which is really helpful. So red somewhere here is probably going to be a lot gnarlier than somewhere else. But yeah, going back to risk management, I don't go out and ride my bike thinking I'm going to fall off and really hurt myself. I despite my choice of hobbies, am quite risk averse. I'm very calculated in the things that I'm going to ride and the features I'm going to ride. I'm not just going to send it, which is a term that mountain bikers use quite a lot. Just send it. That's not me at all. I'm not going to do something unless I know that it's in my ability to do. And if there's a feature that I'm not comfortable riding with at the moment, I'm going to try and push myself to get to a point where I am comfortable riding it. I'm not just going to send it.
How do you think that affects other aspects of your life? What do you think the learning from seeing risk up that close has allowed you to apply it to business and parenting and life?
I think it's a lot of thought processes at the start. I hate getting injured. It sucks. I'm not one of those inspiring people that do loads of stuff when they're injured. I'm going to be moping around and feeling really sorry for myself. So it's what systems and what decisions can you make and can you put in place to have the outcome that you want? That is applicable to work, especially, and other aspects of your life as well. It's like, what can you do prior to that point to get this outcome? And of course, there's some risk involved, and that outcome isn't definite in a lot of situations. But there's loads of stuff you can do before you make a decision to get the outcome that you're hoping to get.
Rowan, what's the one question I haven't asked you wish I had?
Don't know if this is allowed, but who really makes the rules? The question is, do you have any questions for me? And yes, Rich, thank you for asking. I do.
Oh, inversion. Okay, sweet. Hit me.
When you founded OC, what would it be, 5 years ago now? 2021?
2021, yeah.
Is this how you imagined it would be now? How is it different? How is it similar?
When I pause to answer something, it means I've been asked a good question, so bravo. It's so much better than I hoped. Like there's elements of it. Like if you imagine a journey, I had a direction of travel, but I didn't have a magnitude of where we'd get to. But this culture, the ethos, the being surrounded by amazing people that inspire me and make me better in every way and are good human beings, that's what I wanted it to feel like. I wanted to try and solve all the things I hated about other businesses. So the beauty about owning a business is if something's bad, it's your fault, so you can fix it. Like in a big corporate, you can be, oh, I don't like that rule, or that's crap, or this is crap. Well, if any of these things happen, it's my fault. So I can just say, well, let's do it better. Let's do it a different way. And the bits about businesses lie to you and don't tell you the truth and don't share information and don't give people opportunities. I hated that. So I wanted a culture that I love and adore. And we had a board meeting a couple of weeks ago, and the board was so incredibly kind about our culture and the people and described the team as all like A+ players. And I always wanted that. I wanted it to feel like that. I wanted people to love what they were doing. In terms of the actual business, again, the direction of travel, I knew we needed to put a value on nature because the absence of that leads to climate change and biodiversity collapse. Because if there's no consequence to doing things, sadly, society will just keep doing it. If there was no risk of coming off your bike, you just jump off everything.
Oh, damn straight.
Exactly. So the risk is the balancing effect there. So is OC what I thought it would be? No, it's way more than I ever hoped it would be.
Sick.
You got any more?
No, just that I'm so stoked to be a part of it.
Oh, well, we're very, very happy to have you as part of it. Rowan, you're an absolute superstar. I love the fact you're part of the team. Thank you for wanting to be part of it. You make us better. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Rich.